Hello, hi. Welcome to JPNN. It is Friday, February 11th. We've got some news for you. Let's get started. Let us begin with Nintendo. Straight up getting out there and just suing a motherfucker. Gary Bowser, who is the team executor hacker, is given a 40-month sentence, or was given a 40-month sentence, which is on top of the $14 million that he has to pay Nintendo. As a member of team executor, their actions are estimated to have generated over $65 million in losses to game companies. 40 months in prison, 14 million. I don't know if it was worth it. That's a pretty big deal, though, and might even make it so people that are getting into the world of piracy maybe shy away. That's a pretty big sentence. That's a pretty big sentence. We've got new numbers for game spending. It's currently down 2%, says the NPD group. It also charts or shows that in the US, Pokemon Legends Arceus is debuting at number 1 on the sales chart, followed by Call of Duty, Vanguard, and Monster Hunter Rise. Pretty surprising to see Monster Hunter Rise, although I think February will be a little bit different when it comes to the chart, thanks to all the games coming out. PlayStation 5 was the best-selling console in the US during January 2022, as well as the Xbox Series X and S coming in at second place. Speaking of Microsoft, in an article over at Video Games Chronicle, who was this? The president, Brad Smith, told CNBC that the company wants to improve the culture at Activision Blizzard and ensure the right people are in place to accomplish this. He gave a quote and said, "I think if there's one thing we've learned about addressing issues like sexual harassment or any other issue of culture for people, it requires a combination of commitment and humility," Smith said. Quote, "You've got to be committed to making things better. You know, we're looking to the leadership team at Activision Blizzard today to make culture and workplace safety a top priority every single day until the day when this deal hopefully closes, and then we'll take over, and we need to make that same commitment. But I also think humility matters. The day you think you're done is the day you think you can, the day you think you can declare victory is probably the day when you sacrifice the very values that you're hoping to promote. So we always approach this recognizing that we've been on a path. We've been evolving. We hope it's a positive path. And this is something not just for Activision Blizzard. I think it's part of every Microsoft. It's part of the entire tech sector. It's part of every business and the whole economy." CNBC then asked Smith whether by saying when we take over Activision, this meant he was envisioning an entirely new leadership team, which a lot of people are obviously clamoring for. He said, "Well, what we've said is that there will be some aspects that will change, but it will all be one new team that will work together. More importantly, we want to see the culture evolve. We will see how people perform now and the day this closes, assuming it's approved. And then we'll have the opportunity to make sure that we have the right people in the right position." I guess we'll see what happens to old Kotick. Neom, which is a Saudi Arabia company, is going to be building a AAA studio with NBC Group. It's a joint venture between Smart City Project and Dubai-based media company that is aiming to create, quote, "the first AAA games development studio in the region." We'll see how that goes. Hopefully the stories out of that company are good ones and not ones filled with all of the, favorite words, or I guess unfavorable words that you want to hear in game studio, like crunch and lower pay and all that stuff. We'll see what happens. We covered the Nintendo Direct, where they announced a whole ton of games. You can go back and watch that video if you have not. Yesterday, Sony also announced 7 brand new indie games with some updates via Twitter. The games were Moss Book 2, Animal Well, Master Splinter, who's going to be coming to TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which is an update for that, Post Void, Salt and Sacrifice, Samurai Gun, and Hello Neighbor 2. You can find more information about all those titles over at blog.playstation.com. In the world of Sims, there's an expansion coming out called the Wedding Expansion. However, it won't be released in Russia due to anti-gay law. Developer Maxis says it did not want to, quote, compromise the values that we live by, end quote, in its development and brand storytelling. So they didn't edit it out. They're just not going to have it released in Russia, which I guess good job. You know, kudos to them. Also, Russia, what the fuck? Come on now. What the fuck are we doing over there? Horizon Zero Dawn has officially sold over 20 million copies around the world across the PS4 and PC. That's crazy. I can't believe that 20 million copies. That's very surprising to hear. Joining God of War, Uncharted 4, and The Last of Us at over 20 million copies sold. Herman Holst tweeted that out, who is the head of PlayStation Games, I believe. Sifu, speaking of games sold, has announced that it sold 500,000 in just 3 days after its release, as well as a shout out on Twitter that said, shout out to all our players in China, already the first country for Sifu on PC. Not sure what that means. Is that the actual quote? So shout out to our players in China, already the first country for Sifu on PC. Thank you very much for your support. It means a lot to us. What does that mean? Does that mean that it sold the most in China? I guess. Yeah, maybe it's like the #1 selling game over there. Regardless, congrats to those devs. That is a very, very good job. A lot of sold copies. Also, that game's hard as fuck. Grounded, which you might remember as that early access game, reached 10 million players, as well as a new update where part of the update has new areas for adventurers to explore and new creatures to encounter. Making their way to the upper yard, players will first discover that the new barbecue has been knocked over. This creates a dangerous and sizzling path on the way towards the woodpile, so players should be prepared to face the heat. Thanks to whoever wrote that PR person. Speaking of games that are still in early access, this one's still in pre-production. Talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2, IGN.com has an article where they are discussing the developmental hell that currently resides at Ubisoft over Beyond Good and Evil 2. That game was announced 5 years ago at E3 2017. They go into it and get into it in that article. Definitely check it out if you are looking for more information on what's been going on with that game. 5 years. Crazy. Dead Island 2 is still in active development, as Deep Silver confirmed, and says that more detail will be shared once we are ready with Games Radar. And then let's talk about Lost Ark. They've obviously been doing quite well for themselves, both on Twitch and in-game. Today is supposed to be the big launch of the free-to-play portion of Lost Ark. However, servers are still down. They said it could be a couple hours until they come up. They also announced that it will be limiting the creation of characters by new players on servers that have extensive queue times 1 day ahead of the public release. So this was yesterday when this news came out, as well as adding additional servers. However, if you already have a character on these servers, you can still create additional characters on your account, but new players will not be able to join or create characters on those servers. They put out a list of the servers that this will involve. I'll just read them off real quick. Mari, Voltan, Azina, Una, Regulus, Avesta, Kadan, Trixion, Thyrane, Zenervel, and Asta. Character creation limit will remain in place for the foreseeable future, and Lost Ark will provide an update when it is eventually removed. With that game opening up to free-to-play character creation today, it's probably going to get crazy. It's probably going to get absolutely insane. So get in early and try to stay logged in, because you might be facing it. We'll see though. We'll see if it opens later today. Halo Infinite released its February fix. You can find more information over at halowaypoint.com. There's a ton of stuff that they are including in this fix, such as matchmaking service improvements for Big Team Battle. Scorpion tanks and wraiths will appear more frequently on Big Team Battle maps. Fire team members in Big Team Battle matches will have the selected fire team marker color. You can join in progress the join in progress rules are updated to avoid matchmaking into games which are nearly complete. A bunch of other changes. You can read all about those over at halowaypoint.com/news. Infinity Ward co-studio head Pat Kelly has confirmed during a call with the press, content creators, and Raven software developers that Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 are both going to be built on a brand new engine to avoid messy integration issues. This is the first time that those two titles have been officially confirmed, I believe, by Infinity Ward. They're also saying that a major sandbox mode is being teased. Hopefully we'll see more information on that soon. Most likely this summer is when we'll probably see more information on that. Forspoken, which is that Square Enix game that looks like Warframe movement, it's been rated by the ESRB as M for mature. However, the bigger bit of news along with this rating is that it will feature microtransactions. I believe that's a $70 game that will include microtransactions. They don't have to state exactly what those are. I don't think so. A mature rating, though, is kind of an interesting thing. Apparently there's cuss words in it. I'm reading from the xputer.com, who's covering this. Strong language and violence present in the game are the main reasons for that rating. There you go. We'll see what happens with that, with the MTX. I'm curious what type of MTX, if that's just going to be like cosmetic or if it'll be, you know, what that actually involves. What else is there? In Nightmare is apparently a horror adventure / puzzle game that has gone gold and will launch on the PS5 and PS4 on March 29th. The game's been in development for 3 years and is backed by Sony's China Hero project. We'll see what happens with that. That comes out next month. A couple little random bits of news here to close out the show. Blackbird Interactive, which is the 300-person studio behind Hardspace Shipbreaker and the upcoming strategy game Homeworld 3, has announced that it will permanently adopt the 4-day work week. This is a trend that we've seen a lot of companies in the game space talk about and even shift over to. Seems to be like the thing to do, as there's been a couple articles about how much that has improved morale and just the overall company coming out of the developers behind it. So, hey, hope it's the first of many. Hope we get to see that across the entire industry and perhaps even bleed into other industries, as it seems to work. Seems to work. In the world of hardware manufacturing, Western Digital has had a contamination lead to huge losses at the company. It lost 6.5 billion gigabytes of NAND chips, which might lead to a spike in SSD prices. So if you're at all wanting to buy a new SSD for your PS5, or maybe you're perhaps building a new PC, you might want to start looking at those prices soon, or those pieces soon, as prices might skyrocket. However, this story in itself might just also cause that spike in price because of people freaking out. So maybe play it cool for a little bit before you freak out. That's just my take on it. We'll have to see what happens there. And finally, the big bit of news in the IP world. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit has its gaming rights up for sale. Do we need another Lord of the Rings? Like, I would be surprised if Amazon Games is not really working on anything outside of Lost Ark and New World. They got a new show coming out. They could buy that. I thought they were working. Wasn't there supposed to be a new Lord of the Rings MMO announced as well? Could have sworn there was. Thought that was a deal. Maybe not. What if Total War did a Lord of the Rings game? Oh, the Lord of the Rings MMO got canceled. Oh. Oh, there's also that Gollum game. There's a lot they could do with that license. We'll see what happens with it. That's the news, though, here on Friday. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday to cover whatever the hell happens later today, as well as over the weekend. Don't forget that you can check out JPNN on podcast platforms like iTunes and Spotify. You can also just watch this video, and I appreciate those that do. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat on any way that we can improve the show, as we're always trying to help out and support you guys and get the news that you need and you want as soon as possible. So drop a comment and let us know. For now, though, I'm going to get out of here and go wait for those Lost Ark servers to come up. Have a good rest of your Friday, and we'll see you on Monday for more. We're out of here.